Hello, ABG is back, and today we will actually be doing a special episode of Top 5, where in Singapore, tomorrow, from the date that this video will be launched, we are going to be celebrating our 55th year of independence, that we don't call Independence Day, we call it National Day in Singapore. So August 9th, 1965 was the day we actually gained our own independence, and I will maybe link you to something that you watch the history of Singapore. I won't bore you more. And also, today, we will also be giving away 2 games designed by Singaporeans. The first is Chope, in which the designer is here. Daryl is with us as one of our panelists today, and I'll be introducing each of them in a short while. So Chope the card game, it's a game that proudly shows off Singapore's hawker center table reservation system. So it's what we do locally, very much different from how you would reserve a table elsewhere. This is our style of using a packet of tissue paper and we do it. And so this game we obviously have featured before, and it is sponsored by Origame, and it also would come with the promo pack of favorite food. So that is the first game that we are giving away. The second we'll be giving away is the game's name is called Checkout. This is a new game from Mercat Games, which is a part of Capital Games Studio. So it's a game on convenience stores and the various kind of snacks that you can actually purchase that are tuned to the local Singapore taste buds. So the game also would come with the limited edition COVID-19 cards. So I will share again at the end of the video on how you could actually participate in the giveaway. So do check out on that. And of course, today with me, I have 3 guests. The first of which needs no introduction because he's here in all our top 5 series. So that's Geoffrey.
Hi.
Yep. The second, we have Jeremy here. So Jeremy is an avid gamer and he's actually looking to design and maybe publish one of his games soon to come. Jeremy, you want to say a few words?
Hey man, it's an honor to be here with you guys. Yeah, so I'm just pursuing game design as a passion. Yeah, and my game, I like to design party games, games that bring people together, have some fun, yeah, spread some love for Singaporean board games. Yeah.
All right. And the last of which is Daryl. As I mentioned, Daryl is from Origame, or he founded Origame, and Chope, as we mentioned earlier, is a game designed by him. So Daryl, you want to say a few words?
Hi everyone.
Those are literally a few words, okay?
Yeah.
So today what we will be doing in this video is we will be attempting to offer choice upgrades to 5 games which, based on voting, are commonly played games by Singaporeans. And the 5 games that we will be looking to offer upgrades on are actually the first is a category of games which we will call Social Deduction, because this consists of games like Werewolf, Avalon, and Secret Hitler. Technically, they are games with slightly different in the gameplay, but the mechanics is similar. The other game that we will be actually looking to offer choice upgrades would be Cards Against Humanity. So I believe a lot of you would have heard of this game. We'll also be offering an upgrade on Saboteur, which is a kind of a tile laying game that you are trying to actually find gold, or if you are the Saboteur, trying to prevent the miners from finding gold. Monopoly, which I'm sure nobody needs any introduction to. And the last of which is a newer entry. It's a locally designed game called Singaporean Dream. It's a local game by SGAG. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure Daryl actually had some inputs in terms of the design of the game.
Yeah, I did actually help Teresa with some of the card balancing and things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, that is also, a game that is now very commonly played in Singapore. And of course, we would like to offer our Singaporean friends out there some alternatives in terms of board games, which you can play in lieu of these games that we feel could probably give you more fun, if not as much fun, in our own opinion, and thus the choice upgrade that we're offering here. So the order that we'll be going is we will of course be taking an alphabetical approach. So we will start with the Social Deduction Game upgrade, the Cards Against Humanity upgrade, Saboteur upgrade, Monopoly upgrade, and last but not least, the Singaporean Dream upgrade. Yeah. So without further ado, we will start with our social deduction pick, and we will start with Daryl. So Daryl, what's your upgrade for social deduction games?
At the risk of being too self-promoting, I'm going to offer one of my design games, but actually I'm going to be also because I really like Asian games in general. I'm going to be stating an Asian game upgrade as well. So excuse me. So for social deduction, I know Chope is not technically a social deduction game, but actually if you play with the promo cards, there is a little bit of deduction where you kind of need to guess the the identity of kind of like the secret card that the other players have. So that would be a recommendation from my own collection. But in terms of Asian games, I have Tricks of the Phantom by Oink. So Tricks of the Phantom is a game in which you're constantly trying to guess the identity of other players as well, and it's a lot more kind of contained, and it's like a really intense and a very quick and well-designed game. So those are my picks.
So I'm sure the pick is Tricks of the Phantom by Daryl. And next we'll move on to Geoffrey.
Okay, for social deduction, it's a very generic genre. So I would like to pick Werewolf as a game for a start. So Werewolf, I believe, is quite popular right now. It's basically about, you're trying to guess who's the werewolf, while every night, the werewolves are trying to kill innocent people, all right, turn after turn, round after round. Okay, so the upgrade I'm going to recommend to take over for Werewolf is actually Werewords. Yeah. So why would I recommend Werewords? Right? It is basically much more. I personally find it has much more interesting add-on mechanics. So Werewords is about players who have to guess a secret word. All right, by asking yes or no questions. Okay, and and all the good guys are trying to find out what is that secret word before the time is up. So of course one of the characters will be a werewolf. Okay, so the werewolf will try to avoid people guessing the word. Okay, and sometimes that if the good guys don't get to guess the word right, they can still win by identifying the werewolf. So it is interesting for the good guys side, okay, and it's also very interesting, right, to play as a werewolf. So as compared to werewolf, right, is because one of the complaints I have, all right, is when the first person to die, okay, basically, that first few victims will have to wait for the game to be over. Yeah, so it is basically an elimination round which will turn some people off. But for Werewords, right, is everybody will have a chance to play throughout the whole game. Yeah. So and it is interesting. So you can guess words, and there is social deduction along the way. So that will be my recommendation. Werewords.
Okay, so before I'll get Jeremy to share, I'm going to interrupt here because Werewords is also my pick for the social deduction upgrade. The reason being is because as a game, it's elegant enough, and even for people who are actually not trying to identify how people are acting, yeah, they are actually trying to guess a word. So it takes the element of whether you're playing with friends or you're playing with strangers. It doesn't matter whether you know the person well or not and what the person is like, because ultimately whoever is attempting to answer is trying to answer it objectively in terms of what the outcome of the word is. And I mean, with that, I feel that it's a better game just purely because nobody gets eliminated, like what Geoffrey mentioned. And to me, games where if let's say you are eliminated in the first round and you have to wait half an hour for the game to be over and to be involved again, just feels a bit sad for that player if for unfortunate reasons they have been eliminated. So yeah, that's also my pick for Social Deduction Upgrade, Werewords. And with that, I will pass on to Jeremy for your pick.
Yeah, man. I mean, social deduction is one of my most favorite genre. I mean, it's so available. It's easy to learn but hard to master. So the game that I want to recommend is actually Love Letters. So speaking of compact, refined, Love Letters is it, man. It's a very small card game. Comes in a red color pouch. It only has 16 cards. Yeah, 16 cards, the smallest game ever maybe. And each of the cards represents a different role in a palace. So you can either be the lowly guard or you can be the high and mighty princess. Yeah, so I mean the end of the game is that, you know, eventually you want to be the person, either the last person standing or the person with the highest kind of social status. So why I call it social deduction is because, you know, every turn you have 2 cards in your hand and then you must choose one to play and one to keep. Yeah, so it's very important, you know, to choose which card you keep because you don't want people to know your identity. If not, they can easily eliminate you or guess you or, you know, try to outrank you. Yeah, so it's a very fast game, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, very quick party game, but it's so compact. The strategy is so well polished and refined and it's so easy to teach. I think everyone will love it. Yeah, so that's my pick for upgrade to social deduction.
Okay, so far we still have 4 games that is recommended with 1 odd pick or off pick from Daryl. In terms of Chope being a alternate version to social deduction. And with that, we'll put a close to social deduction and we'll move on to the next game, which is Cards Against Humanity, or in short, we call it CAH. So the upgrade on CAH, Daryl, over to you.
I'm going to do another odd pick now. And so my train of logic is this. Cards Against Humanity is a party game. And I think one of the most modern so-called upgrades to the kind of like the genre in which many people can play together at once is the roll and write genre. So and it's not too difficult a step up because a lot of the roll and write genres, I mean, they're thinky, but some of them offer decent amounts of interaction. But I feel like in terms of like say player count and the ability to handle large amounts of players, I think the roll and write genre is kind of like my natural upgrade, and because of that, okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to give you a recommendation from my own collection plus my Asian collection. So Ramen Inc. is probably I think in terms of roll and write, it's really thematic and it's very simple to learn, and especially for I mean, assuming that our audience is mostly Asian, I think ramen is something that we are quite familiar with. So it's easy to learn, and it's a quick puzzle game that it plays in about 30 minutes. And then for my Asian collection, I have Metro X by my good friend Hisashi, and that is a really good, I guess, roll and write or flip and write that feels different every time that I play it, and especially if you like trains or subways, that's really good. Yeah, that's mine.
All right. So again, 2 games from Daryl, and judging from the response from the rest, no crossover. So I will head on to pass to Geoffrey for your upgrade on CAH.
Okay, so Cards Against Humanity is a word-playing game. One of the big problems I have with the game is a lot of times the context wasn't too funny for certain groups. Yeah, because maybe some of the words are rather too westernized. Not many people understand the context. So in the end, the jokes created, wasn't that entertaining for some rounds. Yeah. So the game I'm going to recommend is called Say Anything. It is also a light game whereby in each turn, one player will choose a question, like for example, what is my favorite food? Okay, then each other players will start writing, their own answer. Okay, and then when they review, right, okay, the player in turn will choose among these answers whose answer is the player in turn's favorite, while the rest will start betting on, okay, which player's answer did the player in turn chooses. Okay, so I find this mechanic a lot more entertaining for than Cards Against Humanity, because the answer is written by the players on their own. Okay, and definitely context-wise, if you want to write something funny, it will be much more easier to entertain the group that you're playing with. Yeah, and of course there's betting elements. Yeah, so it is something that I sometimes I hope that Cards Against Humanity could also implement that. Yeah, and therefore I would recommend Say Anything, as the upgrade.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, Cards Against Humanity, yeah, I mean, it's a party game, but to add on to what Geoffrey said, context is a bit hard for us. And also, it's a party game, but it's something that I wouldn't want to play with my parents or my grandparents. Yeah, some of the topics that they talk about is a no-go for me. Yeah, so my upgrade for Cards Against Humanity is actually the popular game called Dixit. Yeah, so instead of piecing together words to form a sentence, in Dixit you are piecing together picture cards to form a dream. Yeah, so the way Dixit works is that there'll be a player who is, I think they call it the Dream Master, and then he will give a short description or a short phrase about his picture card. And I think the interesting thing about Dixit is that the picture cards are so well crafted. In a sense, you can tell many stories, you can spin off many different narratives about the picture card. Yeah, and thereafter the other players have to guess which is your picture card, but must also be careful not to guess other people's picture card. Yeah, so I mean it's a game. You can play it short game, long game. You can scale it according to your players, and the cards are really beautiful, hand-drawn cards. And even if you don't play it as a game, you can pin it up on your wall, put in a photo frame, and they make a very lovely background. Yeah, man. So Dixit, I think it's my recommendation.
Okay, so I'm 2 for 2 for crossovers because my version to upgrade Cards Against Humanity is also Dixit. And like what Geoffrey mentioned, context is a bit of a problem. There is a localized version of Cards Against Humanity in Singapore. I think it's called Lim Pei Says. But ultimately, my biggest gripe with a game like that is that there's no proper scoring structure. You play as long as you feel like playing, and then you set the rules kind of, okay, the moment someone takes 5 points or 10 points, or in a way the scoring system kind of is a very subjective kind of way of scoring, because ultimately you may feel that the way someone says something, for example, the tonation someone says something, could also affect the outcome of the scoring. But Dixit, being pictures, you interpret any way you want to interpret, because you're just looking at the pictures and you're just trying to choose whoever told the story, and you feel that it actually matches, and you score points differently depending on whether you got the right answer, depending on whether everybody got the right answer, or you actually chose someone else instead of the storyteller to give them the answer. So the scoring, I feel, is a bit more elegant. And I mean, granted, Dixit has, I don't know, dozens and dozens of expansions. So in a way, it's a game that you could actually keep on going, just like how Cards Against Humanity has many expansions. The same logic works for Dixit. And as what Geoffrey would say, you could even buy another game's expansion for Dixit, and that's called Mysterium. So, I mean, you could have a party combination of many different kind of games, and it very much depends on how you want to create house rules on games like that. But I feel that because of it being a picture instead of words, a lot of the issues that I think Geoffrey and Jeremy mentioned about games like Cards Against Humanity is removed when it becomes pictorial in form. So my pick is also Dixit, and with that, we will come to a close for the Cards Against Humanity upgrade. We will move on to a local favorite that has been around for some time, and that is actually Saboteur. So we will be attempting to upgrade Saboteur for you. So Daryl, over to you.
For Saboteur, I think I mean, because we really kind of talked a lot about like social deduction and things like that. So to me, I think when people play Saboteur, one of the interesting parts about it is kind of like the spatial thing aspect of building the route. I feel like that's something that a lot of people experience for the first time in terms of like introduction to board games, because Saboteur is probably like like a rung 1 or rung 0.5 of the of the games that people are most likely to play first. And so because of that, I mean, that's the angle that I'm going to take here. As usual, I'm going to do something a bit bizarre. So the games that I have that kind of do this spatial thing well, for me, is Sheep and Thief. So Sheep and Thief is a Japanese game. It, just like Saboteur, you have a lot of actually, in fact, you have almost the same type of cards in which you kind of need to rotate to form routes to reach different cities on the board, as well as to form up rivers and things like that. So it's a lot more dynamic than Saboteur in that respect. And of course, I mean, if you like spatial games, that's kind of like my thing. So I think I would probably slot in Overbooked here as a game that, like if people enjoy spatial games, I think they would really enjoy that as well.
Okay, so we'll hand over to Geoffrey on your upgrade on Saboteur.
Right. Okay, so one distinctive mechanics for Saboteur is developing the routes. You place the card, you develop the road, okay, the route to travel to the destination. So just what if, okay, the route can become a race among players. So in which this game I would recommend is Karuba. It's actually one of my favorite games of all time. And it is actually published by Haba, who is famous for developing children's toys. Yeah, so why I like Karuba so much, right, is you can actually strategize how are you going to place tiles to develop a route for 4 different travelers to travel to their own distinctive treasure. Yeah, so there is a lot of planning, there is a lot of strategy involved, there is and you are also trying to build path that able to allow more than one travelers to share the route, so that each of your travelers can reach their destination on first, as when you are competing with other players. So and along the way you can get to pick diamonds, you can get to pick gold nuggets. So Karuba is definitely one of the game I recommend. Okay, that is actually felt quite similar to to Saboteur, just minus the social deduction, but more to racing, and it's an exciting game. Yep.
Okay, so on to Jeremy for your Saboteur pick.
Yeah, so Saboteur, it's a hard one to upgrade. I mean, I personally love Saboteur. I love it because it's a fast and short game, but it also has a very high player count. You can have many people play together. And I think as Daryl mentioned, the spatial aspect of building a route, it really helps to draw people in. People, when they see your gameplay, they understand what you're going to do already. Yeah. So it's a tough one, but for me, my upgrade on Saboteur would be a thematic, having a same theme. So that would be Boomtown actually. Boomtown, it's a very fun game, but I think not that well known. Yeah, so it's the same theme. Yeah, it's situated in the Wild Wild West, but now instead of being miners to hunt for gold in Boomtown, you are the owner of a mine. Basically, you bid for mines, you pay money and bid for mines, and then the mines will help to generate gold for you. So I think it's a very interesting game with a bidding mechanism, such that when the more you bid, you get to go first and pick the mine that you want, but then the amount of money that you bid for will eventually be shared amongst other players. Yeah, so there was one very interesting game whereby I wasn't doing very well, but I actually won the game because the guy beside me kept passing me the money that he bid. Yeah, so I mean, Boomtown, yeah, there's a lot of strategy involved, a bit of luck involved also, but ultimately it's a game that's well polished. Yeah, it runs very well on this bidding mechanism, and there are also very interesting action cards that you can use to sabotage one another. You can even cause the person's mine to explode, or steal his mine, or even steal the money that the mine produces. Yeah, so very interesting game mechanics at play. Yeah, so that's my upgrade for Saboteur.
So finally, there's no crossover for this genre because I didn't pick any of the above. And to me, Saboteur is probably one of my first few exposure to tile placement games, and with it actually also comes with some element of social deduction. So putting the social deduction part of are you a Saboteur, are you a gold miner aside, just looking at the tile placement perspective, the game that I will offer as an upgrade to Saboteur will be it's the name of a French city, and I'm gonna be butchering the name here because I'm very bad with this kind of names. And the game is actually Carcassonne. So to me, Carcassonne is a game where you actually place tiles along a map where you have a starting point, and you are trying to build out to try to build things like routes, cities, having grasslands, and having monasteries within it. And what you're actually attempting to do is to gain points, and you gain points through putting your little meeples. If I'm not mistaken, they are one of the first few who popularized the term meeple in whatever the shape that is actually well known today. So you actually place them in and they can actually act as different forms. They can actually be monks, they can be kind of like bandits, they can be, depending on where you're placing it, because you actually can put a meeple on a tile that you place. And the problem with such choices is that the moment you actually place it there until it actually scores for some of it, for example, until the root closes up, then you actually gain your meeple back, and you don't actually have a lot of it. So you actually have to kind of exercise some caution in how you want to be scoring the points, and if it's worth the investment versus whether the tile placement other people is going to put is going to be sabotaging how your whole gameplay works. So to me, the sabotaging aspect of what other people's tile placement could put into the greater map that affects your gameplay kind of makes it a natural successor, at least to me, on Saboteur. So my pick here to upgrade Saboteur will be Carcassonne. All right. So the next one, the next genre of games, or the next game we'll be actually choosing to upgrade, personally, it's kind of the game that people know board game as. Whether is it a good or bad thing, it's for you to decide. But to most Singaporeans, at least, when you say board game, or you tell them you're playing board game, the first thing they'll be asking you, oh, is it like Monopoly, or are you playing Monopoly? That's the kind of outreach that Hasbro has and Monopoly has to the minds of Singaporeans, such that they actually deem one game as the entire genre or the entire spectrum of games. So we'll be attempting to upgrade the everlasting Monopoly. And Daryl, over to you on your pick for Monopoly upgrade.
Okay, so when I think of Monopoly and when I think of the fun aspects of Monopoly, I think the rondel is probably the most fun part in my opinion. So going around and you know, kind of like doing actions as you go around the rondel. So a game that does that really well, in my opinion, is Iki, IKI Iki. It's also a Japanese game. So in this game, you're actually going around and you're you're doing kind of business at different stores. I mean, kind of like the same. It's almost the same as in Monopoly. So you do actions at the different stores, and you can also upgrade the actions as you go along. So in a way, it's like buying hotels and things like that in Monopoly also. So that's my Asian pick, Iki, and for my own collection, Into Deep has a rondel in a very unique sense. So in Into Deep, there's a lot of like money manipulation as well, but you have this rondel, and because the whole city is a rondel, and you're trying to manipulate all the criminals around the board to kind of move in different directions, both clockwise and anti-clockwise around the rondel, and also you're doing actions at different parts of the city, different locations. So I think that's, I mean, to me, Monopoly is, I think that's kind of one of the big things that Monopoly kind of contributed. I mean, Snakes and Ladders technically probably did it first, but they did take, I guess, that fun part, but it kind of is still kept alive in terms of just this core mechanic in other games.
So anyway, Into Deep, I don't think it's a game in the market yet, and it's looking to launch in 2021. So just
yeah, it's coming out on Kickstarter in September.
September this year. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So look out for it, and with that, I'll pass on to Geoffrey.
So one of the key mechanics for Monopoly is you roll 2 dice, and you move according to the results of the dice. Okay, so it's basically a luck game. So to make dice rolling a bit less of luck and more of strategy, okay, I would like to recommend this game called Jamaica. All right, it is also another racing game whereby players will play as ships, pirate ships, you know, targeting to go to sail one round of the island of Jamaica. So in each round, a player will roll 2 dice, okay, and then the player will decide, okay, the dice result, okay, will, you know, one die will be placed on the day, one dice will be placed on the night, and the dice result will affect all other players. And what's so interesting about this, right, is from the dice result, okay, players will get to choose many actions, whether to move forward, to move backwards, or use the result of the dice to collect resources. You know, because along the way, when pirate ships landed on the same town, okay, they'll get to fight. You know, like a pirate ship fight. Yeah. So that is where, you know, resources like cannons are necessary to engage in battle. Yeah. So just by this mechanics of dice rolling, there is, you know, some excitement or some racing excitement for racing. There are some strategies involved. There's also resource management involved, and it is definitely a having lesser luck factor than Monopoly. So therefore, I would recommend Jamaica.
So on to you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean Monopoly, it's a classic game, man. I mean back when I was a kid, and back when Toys R Us was a big thing, you know, going to the board game section, you'll see Monopoly, Risk, Cluedo along the entire shelves. And even beyond that, I think Monopoly is one of the first few games I played also. I mean, when my father has this very old set of Monopoly. He bought it when he was a college student. Yeah, so that tells you how old the game is. I think the game might be even older than me. Yeah, but I mean, I think my biggest issue about Monopoly it's quite luck based sometimes, and it takes really really long to finish. Like yeah, I don't think I've ever finished a Monopoly game. Yeah, so to upgrade Monopoly, my choice would actually be the board game Acquire. Yeah, so Acquire, I mean, like the board game on the board game cover, it says that it's a game of savvy planning and corporate conquest, and it's a game whereby you also invest in property, you buy houses, you buy hotels, but this time it's not so much on luck. So how the game works is that the board will be a grid system, and then players will place tiles on the grid, and these tiles form the hotel chain. Yeah, so so the more tiles connected, the bigger the hotel chain is, and then along the way your hotel chain would rival the opponent's hotel chain, and then this is where there's a lot of strategy involved. Do you want to outbid the opponent's hotel chain? Do you want to merge with the hotel chain? Do you want to be the minor kind of merger or the major merger? And then there's so many strategies involved, and in a sense it's quite interesting how it replicates shares in the market as the company grows. Your shares get more valuable and stuff. And I mean this game really does have quite a bit of economics and financial planning at work. And I must say I'm not good at this game actually. Yeah, I play with my brother and my father, and they're more savvy than me, and I've never won them. But it's nonetheless still a game that I would recommend, especially if you like to get into all this nitty-gritty strategy stuff. Yeah, so that's my upgrade.
All right, so you use a 1964 game to upgrade on a 1933 game. Well, all right, so on to me, and to me, I think the biggest problem I have with Monopoly, other than the fact that it's a very I mean the duration of the game is extremely long, is that the fact that you only can actually get a end point when everybody else dies or everybody else goes bankrupt. So the problem is that most of the time in my lifetime where we play Monopoly, the winner wins the game is because the person has the most patience. The rest have lost patience with the game, and they have decided to self-destruct and kind of go bust, and they just decided, I'm just gonna get out of this game altogether. So to me, I look at it more from a finance perspective on the gameplay, where you actually try to actually make the most money. But instead of that, I would prefer a game that has a defined endpoint, and like what we mentioned earlier with together with Geoffrey, where you have games where someone is eliminated, and then they can be eliminated. I mean, like for Werewolf, you're eliminated maybe for half an hour. For Monopoly, you can be eliminated for 7 hours, and the game is still going, and you're just on your own because you were bankrupt earlier in the game. Whether you're thankful or not, I don't know. But the game that I'm going to be picking here is it's a game designed by a Singaporean, and I have mentioned about this game before. The game is Rags to Riches. It's a game where you are actually a pack of scheming rats, and you are trying to actually collect 100 swindles, which is the currency in the game, and you want to actually work your way to get there, and you can do that by using swindles, which is the currency, to purchase cheese, in which the cheese that you purchase in its different color, there's the red, the blue, and the green cheese. You can actually use them to purchase various cards that actually give you kind of like a power up in some aspect, or certain ways to actually give you more money if you choose to sell some of the cards away in a certain format, and you generate money from there. So the reason why I feel this is an upgrade on Monopoly, purely on the basis that it's a finance kind of related game, and there is a defined end point to the game. So the game will take you anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes. That also shows you the variety of gameplay that can happen. But the key thing is that there is a defined endpoint, and people know what to work towards, and not just trying to bankrupt everyone along the way and lengthens the game unnecessarily when you get a bad roll, or people roll luckily and they go somewhere that they get money from, and or somebody else comes to them, or the person that you're trying to bankrupt goes, you actually land on their property and you pay rent to them, and it lengthens the game kind of unnecessarily, even when it seems like you are the overwhelming leader in the game with multiple properties. So yeah, to me, my pick would be Rags to Riches.
Yeah, just a fun fact, that actually Monopoly released a version called The Longest Game Ever. Yeah, so this version of Monopoly, instead of having just one loop, it has double loops. So after one loop, you go into an inner loop. Yeah, so I think it's meant to be a publicity stunt, maybe a joke, but I don't think anyone has ever finished the game. Yeah.
Actually, about Monopoly, I like to point out one game. Basically, I'm trying to say, among all the Monopoly versions, I personally find the best version is Monopoly Gamer. Yeah.
Yep. I have a copy of Monopoly Gamer. My version is the Mario one. I bought it purely because it has Mario. Then I realized the Mario Kart version is a better version. And my only problem with the Gamer edition is they sell their kind of like their character expansions as standalones, and I mean in Singapore it's difficult to buy them. When Toys R Us decide not to sell, it means you don't get it unless you kind of ship it from somewhere else. So that was my problem with it. And but regardless of what we say, Monopoly is gonna stay, right?
Yeah.
Yes, lasted. I mean, even that it come a long way from 1933. It survived a war. It survived a Great Depression. It's gonna survive COVID, so it's gonna be around for many years to come.
Yeah.
For
I mean, we can
Monopoly
have
game, I only have the collector's edition, which is Super Mario's version, and I'm fortunate and lucky to get all the expansion characters. Yeah, so it's really by luck. Yeah, in fact, the most difficult character to find is Tanuki Mario, and I got the last one from that toy store. Yeah.
Yeah, we can have a future ABG video on what is your favorite Monopoly version.
I doubt we will ever do a favorite version of Monopoly, to be honest. But well, my version of my copy of Monopoly Gamer is now somewhere high up in the storeroom, where it takes me 20 minutes to gain access to the game. That just shows where I'm placing the game at. So anyway, we will move on to our last game that we will be choosing to upgrade on, and it's the latest game in the list that we have, which is Singaporean Dream. To be honest, I think before Singaporean Dream came out and become a thing, I think another hit game that a lot of Singaporeans were playing, also with the Monopoly branding, is Monopoly Deal. I think a lot of people felt that Singaporean Dream was a natural successor to Monopoly Deal, given how similar the concept is in terms of how you gain the endpoint in a way. Yeah, and so we will be attempting to upgrade Singaporean Dreams here, and we will be asking the person who actually balanced the game to give us his first pick. Daryl, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, if you've never designed games before, usually these are the frameworks that you have, right? You have your first games are either going to be Monopoly itself or a variant of Monopoly Deal. And I mean, Singaporean Dream is kind of uses that as a framework. I mean, but the good thing about using a framework that everyone knows is that it's the rules are going to be much easier for them to understand, for people to understand. So I mean for us as game designers and gamers, I mean, we've kind of outgrown these frameworks, but but I mean, it's important to know that these are actually easier for new gamers and casual gamers to pick up as well. So I mean, there's always kind of like I mean for us it's mostly cons, but I mean there are some pros if you really try to dig deep. So for me, when I think of Singaporean Dream, I think of a game that kind of tries to promote Singapore, and it's basically this game right here. In the background, it's Remember Our Trip. It's a game that I designed together with Sashi. Even though from the onset, it doesn't really look like a game about Singapore, but so actually the first map that you'll be playing when you play this game is going to be a Singapore map because because it's much simpler than a Kyoto map that has a river right through it. So people who play Remember Our Trip are going to be recreating a map of Singapore, and I mean you can actually see this as a Singapore flyer, just like in Seb's picture right there. He also has a Singapore flyer, so you can there's at least that recognizing thing, and and in the game there's also Marina Bay Sands and Gardens by the Bay as well. So I mean thematically you can actually construct these things on the map of Singapore. So it's actually a game in which we tried to kind of pay homage to the cities that we're both from. So in Remember Trip, you can play on both Kyoto, which is where Sashi is living, and Singapore, which is where I'm from and where I'm living right now. Yeah, so and as people around the world play it, so the game is actually just Sashi told me is picked up by DLP. so it's a game that will be played not just by Singaporeans but by people around the world. So hopefully this game, like we can spread a little bit of Singaporean culture as well. And of course, like almost every other Origame game fits this description as well.
All right. So hopefully the game does well and more people actually know where Singapore is and how Singapore look like. And kind of back in the theme of it being a National Day special, but given that the game that we're trying to replace is Singaporean Dream, so we probably are looking at Singapore related game. And with that, I'll pass on to Geoffrey.
All right. Okay. Before I start, maybe I'd like to apologize to Daryl because first thing I'm going to say is not a fan of Singaporean Dream. Yeah, because my play is really very similar to Monopoly Deal. Just a bit of add-on. Yeah. So
you don't have to apologize to me. I'm not the designer. I just
I know. But I mean, you are involved somehow, lah. Yeah. So
yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah. So if you ask me, right, okay, my upgrade is not going to be based on the gameplay because it is
of course.
Deal. Okay, but what is the upgrade going to be based on? Okay, I'm going to upgrade based on similar art style. I'm going to upgrade based on a pastime some Singaporeans, not me, some Singaporeans do enjoy is in front of elevators. So in front of elevators is also the same game designer and the same artist. Exactly same as the Remember Our Trip. Okay, it's called In Front of Elevators. So art style is about the same. And it involves people queuing up in front of elevators. So queuing up is something that for some reason a lot of Singaporeans enjoy. Okay, it's not something I enjoy. I hate queuing, long queues. Yeah. So why I recommend this game is because it is the theme itself is not very interesting, but the gameplay makes queuing and jumping queues so interesting to the point whereby like Singapore, Singapore Dream, they like focus on sabotage cards, okay, but nobody, I mean, it doesn't really, sabotage people like jumping queues. Yeah. So in a way, other than jumping queues, right? Okay, players will also earn points based on where exactly the player's family members stand. So the first on the queue might not be necessarily be the person who scores the highest. Let's say in some elevators, okay, the one earning more points will be the third and fourth in the queue. Okay, reasons being is when people squeeze in elevators, okay, the one that is nearest to the elevator door will leave first. So which is why the third and fourth gets the highest point. Yeah. So it is so thematically, and the game design actually make it like it is so fitting, and it really kind of reflects the the irritation of being sabotaged by jumping queues, as well as being pushed back. Yeah. So overall, In Front of Elevators is also one of my favorite card games, and I would highly recommend anyone, okay, who to get a copy. Okay, if you fly to Japan, get a copy. If
You don't need to go to Japan, you can buy it off Origame web store.
Oh really? Okay, that's good. Yeah. So I mean, if it's not that expensive, yeah. So if you can get a copy, yeah, try it.
I'll put the links to Origame web store below. So you can actually get your copy of Remember Our Trip or In Front of the Elevators below. And with that, we will move on to Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, SG at the Singaporean Dreams. I think I like the theme. It resonates very strongly with me, and I mean, it's one of the rare few games that I played with my mom, and then she would laugh out loud. Yeah, really, man. Yeah, I mean, and then I think I like how everybody has their own character, and each character has their own special ability. I think the influencer ability, whereby you have to take an Instagram and then post with the hashtag Singaporean Dream. I think it's really, really smart. Yeah, it's a really, really smart marketing move. Yeah, but I mean, to upgrade on SG Dream, I'm thinking of a party game. A party game, easy to learn, a lot of player interaction. And also when I think of upgrading SG Dream, I also want to upgrade something that I want that is my own personal Singaporean dream. And my own personal Singaporean dream is I want to eventually retire and be able to have some do some farming, earn some crops. So yeah, so that's a big hint for the game. The game I'm choosing is actually called Bonanza. Yeah, so it's a pretty simple game. There's a lot of player interaction. Basically, instead of collecting dreams, you are collecting seeds. Yeah, seeds to harvest the plants. Yeah, and then everyone has their own plot of land, and then you would bid with other players. You'll be like, for example, I need to get rid of this bean. I cannot plant the bean on my plot of land. It's full. So will you take this bean away from me? In exchange, I will take something from you. Yeah, so there's a lot of player interaction, and ultimately, I wish to retire in a farm. There are so many community gardens around our HDB estates. There is Bottle Tree Park, I think, whereby there's a farming interest group. Yeah, so maybe that's a very common Singaporean dream that some of you guys might have. So yeah, Bonanza, thumbs up.
Alright, it almost became a crossover because I was actually finalizing between Bonanza and something else, and I didn't go with the binning approach. I went with something else. So yeah, it almost became a crossover, but it didn't. And next, I will move on to myself for my upgrade on Singaporean Dream. And the game that I actually chose in the end was more of a set collecting kind of concept over Singaporean Dream, because Singaporean Dream is in its essential, it's a set collecting game. And the game that I'm going for, it's the newest game that I have in my list. And I have talked about this game not too long ago, and the game is actually Point Salad. So to me, I think it's the dream of a lot of Singaporean OLs that they have unlimited salad, because I see all of them queuing up at salad stores every day and any day. So anyway, Point Salad is an extremely simple game where you only you can actually take one of 3 actions each turn. You either draft a point salad card, draft 2 vegetables, or turn a point salad card into the vegetable that it corresponds with, it comes with. So the set collection theme to it comes when you are actually acquiring point salad cards, where you know what scores you points or what scores you negative point, and working your way around trying to collect the relevant vegetables around it. And to me, as a card game, it is brilliant. Quality horrendous, so buy sleeves. But in terms of gameplay and ease to teach and how many people it can play with, it plays up to 6. So I mean, it's kind of similar to Singaporean Dream. I think Singaporean Dream can probably go a bit higher if you buy the expansion. But to be honest, when you have to wait so long for your turn, when it's not a very quick kind of action turn, even though you only also play a couple of things each turn in Singaporean Dream, but it's not as fast as a point salad. And yeah, so my pick to upgrade Singaporean Dream, although not directly similar, would be point salad.
You're making me hungry.
You are getting hungry from salad. So you eat salad all the time, I guess. Yeah. So I mean, with that, I hope we actually given you all a couple of games that you probably can look at instead of the 5 that we just mentioned, just to broaden what you can play. And to be honest, board gaming or tabletop gaming is not only Monopoly. There are many games out there, and I'm sure if you want to find something that is quick and light, I'm going to self-plug, and please actually check out our top 5 board games under 30 minutes, because that will actually give you a few more other games that you can actually play in a quicker time, because a lot of people feel that board gaming is always long and clunky, probably made famous because of Monopoly, just how the gameplay is like. So people think that gaming is actually long and a very tedious process. Yeah. But I mean, coming to the end of the video, anyone want to share anything else of what you feel the other party or other people have picked? What are your views on some of these games? Do you all agree, do you all disagree on them being upgrades or not?
Well, definitely agree with most of the list when it comes to upgrades. Yeah, so definitely a lot of games have been overplayed, and many people have misconceptions that that is all for board games. In fact, there are so many titles to explore from. Yeah, and I would like to recommend more people to explore board games, because there are many game mechanics in different games. Yeah, so unlike video games whereby a genre, the gameplay is similar, okay, board games tend to be a lot more creative. How they, how dice are played. Dice are not necessarily are mostly luck. Yeah, not all pieces are to move step by step. Yeah. So and in fact, money can be played differently in many of the games. So that is where I do recommend new casual players, do get yourself exposed to many different types of games. Yeah, you'll be surprised, and who knows, you might find your new favorite genre. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong into what is the correct upgrade to the board game. I think ultimately when you play board game, for me it's about fun, but for me it's also about the player interaction, the social bonding. So ultimately, I mean, for example, if you're watching this video and you have been scarred by Monopoly, I suggest you to try other games. I mean, choose games that you think your social circle will enjoy, your friends or family will enjoy playing with. And ultimately, even a game with boring mechanics can become fun when people start to, like tease each other and start to do funny things with one another. Yeah, I think really board game is just about bringing people together. Yeah, and that's the crux of it.
Okay. Any final words from you, Daryl?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you have this program to kind of encourage people to play more different and varying games, I think it's great. I mean, of course, our list is definitely not exhaustive, And I think part of the journey in our hobby is that everyone, just like us, will probably have their own list once they start exploring.
All right. So if you're watching this and you have other games that you'd like to recommend, do leave it in the comments below so that more people get to benefit from it. And also, if you have any other ideas for top 5 or what you want to see us talk about, do leave them in the comment as well. And of course, it being a National Day special, we're going to do something unrehearsed, which is to wish Singapore a happy birthday. And I'm sure the guys here are now looking at me and I didn't prep them for this. They'll be wondering, why are we doing this? But I mean, guys, it's National Day. So why don't we wish Singapore a happy birthday and let's say Happy National Day together in a count of 3. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Happy National
National Day.
Yay.
Singapore.
Happy birthday, Singapore.
Yeah, happy birthday, Singapore. And okay, I'll probably have to edit
And
that.
National Day, Singaporeans.
Yeah, it's just like how we greet our teachers in the morning. So we have the good morning. Even 4 of us are actually showing that sign that it's so uncoordinated. I mean, that's how Singapore is. We are multiracial, multi-religion. We are just very different, even though we may look the same, we may be the same, we may speak the same language, but we are very different. But yet, we can still live harmoniously within our community. I'm sure there are not many places that you can actually go to that you'll find a church, a mosque, an Indian temple, and a Chinese temple within 500 meters of each other. But you can find it in Singapore because that's just who we are as a country. And hopefully that actually gets reflected in many of the games that would come out from Singapore in time to come.
To participate in this National Day Special 2020 episode giveaway, first you actually have to be from Singapore, and all you have to do is give this video a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to us, and of course leave your comment below to state that you like to participate in the giveaway. And in the comment, I would like to hear from all of you, what are some of the games that you actually played when you were growing up? What are some of the tabletop games or board games? And with that, you stand a chance to win either a copy of Checkout, sponsored by Mercat Games, a subsidiary of Capital Games Studios, or Chope, which is sponsored by Origame. For additional chance to win at this giveaway, do check out our Instagram page, which is @AmateurBoardgamer, and you should be able to find our National Day special post for additional chance of winning in the giveaway.
If you enjoy videos like this, do give the video a like, share with your friends, especially if you're in Singapore, share it with many of your friends who may be, like what Jeremy said, scarred by Monopoly, some of the other games that are in this list, and do subscribe to us, Amateur Board Gamer, for more such content, board gaming contents that you can actually explore, and do click on the notification bell so that you can actually get our video as soon as they are ready. And of course, more videos are at the site, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you for watching.
See you.
Bye.